RusAme reader, Song, and today I will be reading to you from Never Left by Plastic Bag 3207. But before we get into this chapter has a warning that it will contain mentions of self-harm and suicide. Please skip out on this one if that will not do well for you. Thank you. Now, on to Chapter 12. Russia could feel the tears forming in his eyes as he watched the car drive off, the barks of his beloved dog getting quieter and quieter. He sighed and wiped the tears threatening to fall from his cheeks and got back into his car. It was for the best. He repeated the thought until he got home. Unable to hold it any longer, Russia burst into tears. He dragged himself into the kitchen and grabbed a bottle of vodka. He thought back to when he heard America get into the car accident. "God damn it, Mary!" he yelled. "Why can't I do anything right with my life?" He continued to scream. "Why do I hate myself? Just why?" His voice seemed to give out on him as it became a whisper. "Why do I push people away? Why don't I accept their love? Why must I have the urge to be alone when I know I need them?" He continued to rant. "Why did you leave me?" he whispered. The man took another swig of his vodka and went upstairs to his bedroom and opened the drawer in his bedside table. He grabbed a little knife out of it and looked at his scarred arms and paused as he remembered something. Russia sat in his room, crying. His arms were covered in his own blood. He was just waiting to bleed out. America, his boyfriend, has recently received a text from him. A text where he said his goodbyes, apologizing and telling him how much he loved him. "To the moon and back, even though you got there first." Russia smiled as he knew his pain would be gone soon, but it was interrupted by a banging on his door. "Russia!" a voice cried out as they banged on the door, trying to get it open, but it was locked. "Russia, you can't die on me!" they yelled again, banging their entire body into the door. They didn't care if it broke, as long as Russia was still okay. "Russia, please!" The desperation in their voice was becoming more evident with his bash against the door. Eventually, a little crack was heard. "Russia, answer me!" they called again. The Russian man just sat there, tears running down his bloodied cheeks. The door cracked again. Finally, after a few more blows, the door was knocked down. "Russia!" America yelled as he ran himself into the other country, cupping his hands on their cheeks. "Russia, please," he said, barely above a whisper. "I love you, Renee," Russia said. His voice sounded weak. He tried to reach up and touch the other's face, but before he could, they were up and ran to get bandages. America was as back quickly as he had left, and began to wrap Russia's arms. Sure, they were messy, but they did the job, until he could get his lover to the hospital. "I swear, Russia, if you had died on me, I would have..." He struggled to find the words he was looking for while under all the emotional stress. "I don't know what I would have done, because you're my everything, Russia," he said, looking into the other's teary eyes. Russia leaned forwards and kissed the smaller man, sitting in his lap. America kissed back, wrapping his arms around the other, and holding on to the other man, as if he was about to slip away forever. Russia had made a promise to America that night. He would never cut again. Russia threw the knife back into the drawer and was terrified what he was almost about to do. How had he been blind enough to just want to hurt himself? He reached for his phone and dialed France. Bonjour. How may I help you? He heard her voice in the other side. France? He said, trying not to let his sobs get in the way. He heard her let out a little gasp. Russia, are you okay? She asked, like a worried mother. He shook his head, even though she couldn't see it. No, I'm not. Can you please come over? I need someone who will listen. Really listen, he said, sniffling and wiping tears away. I will be there right away. Stay where you are. I'm coming, she said. He could hear the shuffling and her running out the door and getting into the car. Do you want to stay on the call or wait for me to get there? She asked. I can wait. Okay, hang tight, Russia, she said before hanging up. A few minutes later, France burst through the door. Russia! She called. In the bedroom, he called back. He heard her rush up the stairs and into the bedroom. She gasped at the man collapsed on the floor, soaked in his own tears. She immediately rushed over and hugged him. He hugged back. Thank you for coming, he said. I didn't think you would. I was afraid you wouldn't. I was afraid no one was. Why wouldn't I come? That's what family is for, she said, pulling out of the hug to look him in the eye. Come on. I'm going to make you some tea, and you may vent to me all you'd like, she said. So, for the next hour, that's what Russia did. He explained everything to her, and she listened. She listened to all of it. Eventually, she decided that it was best if he came and spent the night at her and UK's house, just in case something were to happen. He reluctantly agreed. Russia didn't exactly like being treated like a child, but it felt like someone cared, and that's all he really needed right now. And that's the end of this chapter. I don't think you could really enjoy this one. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord. It's linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. And I will see you tomorrow.